Hello everyone, welcome to the news desk and a special feature where we go round the table. Now you often see we have two featured drafters, of course, in the morning, and then you get a chance to look at home through the draft viewer and see what your particular favourite player at the table picked. But we're going to explore now the whole table in the company of Brian David Marshall, Maria Bertoldi and Paul Cheon. So why don't we take a look at the table, and there you can see it. You got Ken YUKUHIRO, he was in seat 1, the ranked player. That 25 means he's in the top 25 players. He was passing to Yuki Matsumoto, then to Hall of Famer Anton JONSSON, STOK of the Netherlands. Pro Tour Theros champion JÉRÉMY DEZANI was in seat 5, Yuki Ichikawa in 6, Brad Nelson from Team Genesis in seat 7, and RPTQer Zach West was in seat number 8. So BDM, we are going to kick off with seat 1 and Ken YUKUHIRO. So why don't we take a look at what he opened up? Well, he opened up red, and some other mana cost Burning Sun's Avatar. And he added to that in pick 2 with a Ranging Raptors. That was his second pick. Let's take a look at that for you. There was an Unfriendly Fire. I'm slightly surprised he didn't go a second red card there.
Possibly. I mean, again, one of the people talk about the premium removal in this format, and when they talk about the premium removal, it doesn't cost 5. It costs 2. It costs 3. Right. You know, the idea that the problem with Unfriendly Fire is you're spending 5 mana to kill a 2-mana creature a lot of the times, or a 3-mana creature, and so it's not super efficient. And Ranging Raptors is just a key piece of the dinosaur deck. All right. You already started off on a pretty big red dinosaur.
Fine, so here's pick 3 then. Let's see what he did with that. And it was Sailor Means, right. So at this point, having a guess, where does he end up, would you guess? Before we see the final deck, is he red-green and this Sailor of Means is irrelevant, or?
I mean, clearly he's going to be black-white vampires. I mean, it could be anything. Once you're third picking a Sailor of Means, you know, but I mean, not a ton here. The Pious Interdiction is maybe a card you're thinking about there. You know, third pick, white's open. It pairs with either of the colors he's already picked. So he probably has a strong predilection for that sort of like 5-color blue deck. So maybe I'm going to think he's like on a 5-color blue. All
right, let's see what Ken YUKUHIRO did. This is his final deck. Well, there's lots. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of Sailor of Means there. There's 3 of them.
I mean,
yes.
And I means.
And then that Burning Sun's Avatar, just delicious.
Which we saw in the feature match area, actually, you guys saw. I heard, because I have this in my ear, and I heard people saying, oh my God, you cast Burning Sun's Avatar. I'm imagining he didn't have a lot of traditional red mana in play when he did it.
Right, okay, so YUKUHIRO is still playing in round 3, plenty of tables still going. He was at 1-1 with his green, blue, white, red deck. Maria, let's go on to seat 2.
All right, seat 2, Yuki Matsumoto. We got to watch this draft, actually. It was really interesting. Paul, pack 1, pick 1, Stormfleet Aerialist. What do you make of that?
It's kind of an interesting pick. It leaves you a little more open-ended. Stormfleet Aerialist is the type of card that you can put into any blue deck. There are other very powerful cards like River Herald's Boon, which is kind of the payoff card in Merfolk, but I understand why Yuki opted for kind of the safer pick with the Stormfleet Aerialist here.
All right, let's take a look at what he picked second here, Pirate's Cutlass.
Yeah, great follow-up to that Stormfleet Aerialist, maybe looking to be an aggressive pirate deck. Vanquish the Weak and Shapers of Nature are also cards that I'm kind of looking at, but it looked like Yuki just kind of wanted to keep himself open and take the Pirate's Cutlass, which is a card that's just steadily just gone up in everybody's rankings. I've seen people take Pirate's Cutlass over just very, very solid removal spells.
All right, let's take a look at pick 3 here, Pious Interdiction.
Yeah, Pious Interdiction, not especially close here. I think it's just by far the best card in the pack here. Unfriendly Fire could have kind of been the other consideration, but I'm in for the Pious Interdiction here.
All right, let's take a look at Yuki Matsumoto's final deck, which was blue-black pirates. We had a nice top end there with River's Rebuke and Direfleet Ravager.
Yeah, one of the ultimate payoff cards for the deck. Not surprised that the Pious Interdiction didn't really make its way into the deck because blue-white is not really a thing, but if Yuki ended up with, you know, all the Sailor Means that was kind of monopolized by the previous drafter, he could have actually considered tried splashing it, but this looks like a very solid pirate deck.
So you see those 2 Blight Keepers down there at the end. He did pick over a contract killing at least one of them, and the story here is his record, 3-0.
Yep, he swept the table. We said he was this astonishing drafter at 76% win rate. That just went up.
And he did that 3-0 in less time than we allot for a player to play one round.
Yeah.
You know, when you add up his 3 matches,
10 minutes,
they were
2-0,
10 minutes, 15 minutes,
2-0.
10 minutes, yeah, just, you know, boom,
Yep.
boom, boom. So
All right.
pretty impressive stuff. And I think that really that Blight Keeper versus contract killing pick for me is just amazing.
It's huge.
I mean, it's just, you know, to see all 3 of them in there, it's really what we talk about, you know, just hammering home that point about just expensive removal versus getting cheap things on the board. Have you ever seen a pick like that, Paul?
I haven't. Well, that's not true. I've seen Christian Calcano draft, so I've seen this happen quite often. But no, it is really interesting, especially just like kind of the context of this format, where the removal does tend to be a little clunky, and people are just trying to get you with cheap cards. You have the raid, and you have cards like One with the Wind, where you just want to make sure you have 1-drops in your deck to push in through, you know, as much damage as you can early.
I have a question. I want to just veer off topic for 1 second because
Of course you do.
It's lunchtime. We got plenty.
it's lunchtime. Yes. First pick in this pack, Yuki Matsumoto had a chance. Maybe I should talk to Maria about this because I know she's on the same page with me.
Yeah, he had a River Herald
must be a-
spoon.
it must be a-
Pac-1
There was a
pick
River Herald spoon, and you talked about it. In a draft on Magic Online, you would almost you just slam that River Herald spoon, I think. And
Mythic common.
It's different in this kind of potted format. Is it how much riskier is it to make that pick? You know, because you only get the 1 draft. You don't get to just go, oh, all right, I lost, drop, let me draft again. How different is this arena from, you know, that Magic Online experience?
I mean, I think I mostly draft kind of the same way, actually. I think just kind of maybe in this pod, it is nice to have alternative strategies that you don't think everybody else will be on. Everybody is very well aware that vampires and merfolk are kind of the 2 tribal decks you want to settle into. So what's kind of the, you know, underrepresented archetypes? Blue-black pirates. If you think people are just not going to value those cards highly, that's when you take that Pirates cut list and you take these Blight Keepers over contract killings and just try to get people out of nowhere. Whereas River Herald's Boon, you open one, that's probably the only one you're going to see in a draft unless you're very lucky.
In seat 3, moving on. I love working with these people. Anton Jonsson, Hall of Famer, was up next. Now, he owned a kite sail freebooter. That's where he kicks off. Pick 2 for him was aforementioned River Herald's Boon. That goes there. And then a terrific 3rd pick.
This has to be the Shapers of Nature, right?
And you are
There
absolutely
it
right.
is.
There we
There
go.
it is.
Not that I was tracking where that was at every moment in the
Right.
draft.
So presumably, at BDM, that kite sail freebooter is gone, an ancient history, and this is going to be a blue-green merfolk.
I would assume that he gets a Jade Guardian next. He gets, you know, Storm Sculptor very late if he wants it.
Let's
This
see.
should be a great blue-green merfolk.
All right, let's see the great blue-green merfolk deck. Now, it is indeed blue-green. It is indeed merfolk. How would you rate it?
I'm looking. I see.
2 Shaper's Apprentice.
Where's the one with the
One
wind?
River
we-
Herald's Boon, big
He's got the
surprise.
one River Herald's Boon. No one with the winds. I think this is probably this is kind of a medium deck for me.
Okay, well, if it is a medium deck, it's a medium deck with a poor result. This is the 0-3 at the table.
Wow.
Anton Jonsson just came in. He lost his last round to Zach West. So it looks to me as if that is, that's Anton Jonsson 0-3 with that deck.
Kudos to Zach West, though, on getting the win there. That's
Yep.
against a Hall of Famer. And
Right. It's time to find our stock list for the round. Maria, over to you.
All
It's
right,
Alex stock.
Alex Stock. Here we go. Let's take a look
Oh, God.
at what he had. Pack 1,
Why?
pick 1.
Why?
Emissary of Sunrise. This is just a card that is always solid, Paul, and goes in any white deck.
Yeah, never bad, never bad. Fire Cannon Blast is also a card you could consider just because it's a very solid removal and it's actually reasonable on rate compared to a lot of the other removal effects in the format, but Emissary of Sunrise is a premium 3-drop.
All right, let's take a look at what he picked up second in this, the first draft of the Pro Tour. Telenali's Knight.
Yeah, settling into an aggressive red-white, potentially dinosaur deck. Telenali's Knight, of course, does pay you off if you have dinosaurs in your deck. Nothing else I would really consider. Raging Swordtooth is a very powerful card, but after that first pick, I don't know if you want to delve into a gold card.
All right, let's see if he can keep the theme rolling here with pick 3. No, Call to the Feast, kind of a curveball here.
Yeah, well, it's one of those cards you talked to me briefly earlier about kind of like keystone, like uncommons that you could get. So when you see maybe a Call to the Feast, I don't think it's as quite there in terms of power level as the other uncommons, but when you see that, you could be thinking, well, maybe Vampires is open. Maybe this is the time to jump in. If I keep getting Vampires after this, maybe I can settle into like a very, very strong Vampire deck.
Well, let's see what Alex ended up doing. Here we go, red-white aggro. Doesn't get much more aggro than this with a charging Monster Sword to top off your deck and just a whole mess of 2-drops.
Yeah, we call that the Mythic Uncommon. It's
Reality Smasher.
Reality Smasher Uncommon. It does a ton of work. And you know, this deck, this is the thing, you know, it just has a nice mana curve. It doesn't really have like a ton of great synergies, but red-white aggro, just, you know, an archetype that a lot of the pros kind of favor just because things can't really go that wrong with a red-white deck.
Can Jolly Sunwing kind of a bomb in this deck, right?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
2 Vampire Zeal, by the way, fine in red-white.
Oh, absolutely. Cheap combat trick. Cheap.
Yeah, so Alex ends up 2-1. So that's one of our 3 2-1 players. So we move on, we're halfway around. Jeremy DEZANI's up next, the Pro Tour champion from Theros in 2013, part of Team Connected Company. We've already seen a lot of this because Maria had the chance to talk with Jeremy and work through his deck. So we'll race our way through these. Of course, we open up with Vona, the Butcher of Magan. You can't say that in a normal voice, obviously. Then we have, next up, we have the pretty ordinary Skyblade of the Legion. And the third pick then is Queen's Commission. So there, incidentally, I suddenly realized that's not Queen's Commission. It's Queen's Co-Mission, because I looked down. That's actually Freddie Mercury in the artwork, which I had not spotted before. It's obviously right. I mean, that is him, right? With the little moustache and everything. Am I right? I'm right.
Silence.
Well, they can't talk back, Maria.
Yeah. Now we know why the Sword Tooth is raging.
Man.
Excellent. So here's the deck, BDM. Do you like it?
I mean, I love any deck with Vona. I mean, that is just a gigantic bomb. This deck looks really good to me. I don't know how I feel about Argyll's Bloodfast, but I love Butcher. I mean, there's not a lot, a lot of the rares in this format will be like synergy driven, and that is just a great card on its own, capable of utterly dominating a board,
Right.
and very hard to deal with.
Well, we said we didn't know how Ken YUKUHIRO ended up. He was paired against DEZANI at 1-1. DEZANI won that match 2-0. So DEZANI goes to 2-1. That drops YUKUHIRO to 1-2 with his many colored red deck. So maybe not a huge surprise. So we already know that one Yuki is 3-0, but now we have the other Yuki, Maria, Yuki Ichikawa.
All right, Yuki Ichikawa, let's take a look here. Pack 1, pick 1, charging Monster Sword. I mean, obviously, you've got to take it here, Paul.
Yeah, not much to say about this one. One of the best uncommons in this set, if not the best one.
So I had a chance to watch this deck go up against Jeremy DEZANI's Black-White Vampires, by the way. He has everything. Let's take a look at Pack 1, pick 2, Direfleet Captain. So he's kind of hedging his bets a little bit here. Not sure exactly.
Yeah, he could have opted to stay in red by just taking something like a Headstrong Brute, but he's going for kind of the higher upside card in the Direfleet Captain.
All right, let's take a look at pick 3. Fire Cannon Blast.
He's got to be happy with the Fire Cannon Blast. This is just an excellent start to a deck. Be shocked if he wasn't some kind of red-based aggressive deck here.
All right, let's take a look at the final deck here for Yuki Ichikawa. How about a Regisaur Alpha, Raging Sardtooth, and Charging Monster Sword? How does that taste?
Not great if you're the opponent. Wow. So as you can see, he ended up in red-green. He was able to read the signals. He did take kind of that high upside, high risk, high reward pick in the black-red card pick too, but just ended up in a very powerful looking red-green deck.
And as we watched that draft unfold around the table, we saw that thundering Spineback lumbering around the table, and it ends up here. He got that. That was a pretty late pickup for him, actually. Yeah.
Paul, I want to ask you, there's a gap at 4 there, and that he has 3 cards that are 6 or higher. Is it possible that he struggles because he goes, here's a 2-drop on Ixalan's Keeper, here's an Aztecan Archer that, maybe picks something off, and then he doesn't draw one of his 5-drops, but instead he draws a 6-drop, and he's actually more or less not doing much on turn 4 and 5 and actually falling behind and trying to catch up with Sun-Crowned Hunters when he eventually gets them onto the battlefield.
Yeah, absolutely. My biggest concern when I'm looking at this deck would be just if it falls behind a little too much against kind of some of the powerful aggressive strategies in the format. You have the Merfolk deck, you have the red-white aggro deck. But if he does get to the late game, I mean, no other deck's going to beat him. He's got the Thundering Spineback, he's got Reggie, he's got Charging Monster Sword. He's basically got it all.
He's running 16 lands, too.
Well, he's got 2 Commune with Dinosaurs, but I think I'd still probably lean towards 17.
I was counting it. I counted twice.
Right.
16 lands?
Weird story from the floor about Commune with Dinosaurs. In one match, Yuki Ichikawa cast this card and came up with an Anton Janssen player card.
What?
Commune with dinosaurs.
Wow.
People complain about
We'll just
me.
keep the bad jokes to that side of the table. And we'll just
They flow
given,
downhill,
that's a given,
Paul.
that's a given.
They flow downhill. All right, on we go. Now, of course, just to finish off, Yuki Ichikawa went 2-1 because he lost to Yuki Matsumoto playing for the pod. Yuki Matsumoto are 3-0. So on we go to Brad Nelson. Brad Nelson, former Player of the Year. Here he is, opening up with Mavrin Fane. Of course, we watched him draft, so let's whiz through these. Mavrin Fane first, second pick then. There's your Dustborn Sky Marcher, and then his third pick. Over we go to the 2-2 for 2 Queen Space Soldier. And then here's the deck that it ends up as. Black, white, reasonable BDM?
I mean, this certainly looks like a reasonable deck. He's got multiple Vanquish the Weeks. He's got multiple Vampire Zeals. He's got Vampires to really get maximum value out of those Vampire Zeals, you know, where you get the first strike, which is just absolutely brutal. The Bishop of Rebirth, which can be a really powerful card, but doesn't have that sort of go, you know, other than the Mavrin Fine, doesn't have the really go wide ability that you look to see in a lot of these decks to really exploit something like the Anointed Deacon.
Right, and if you've been paying attention, you know we've already seen 3 2-1 decks and a 3-0. So that means Brad Nelson opens up his Pro Tour campaign 1-2 with that black-white Vampires deck. So Maria, that just leaves Zachary West. How did he do?
All right, Zachary West, let's take a look. A pretty good pack one, pick one, wouldn't you say, Paul?
it's not bad for your first PT.
Yeah. That's got to be what you want to see when you sit
Oh,
down.
it's just one of the best cards in the set.
All right,
I mean,
let's
this is
take a
one of the
look.
reasons why you kind of go into black-green, right? Because
Right.
it's not really a tribal supported color.
All right, let's move on to pick 2 here. What did he pick up? Savage Stomp.
Yeah, Savage Stomp, Premium Uncommon, not surprised there.
All right, let's take a look at pick 3. Deathless Ancient, going along with the black-green theme.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to cut off black. It's not really great if you're looking to be black-green because you don't have a bunch of vampires, but this pack is also pretty weak overall, so he's just trying to cut off the black as much as he can.
All right, let's see how Zachary West ended up. Well, he's splashing the Vraska.
No big surprise, Vraska is just one of those, and there's a couple cards in the format that you will almost always splash. Vraska, Hostage Taker, cards like that, so not really surprised here. Let's see if he actually has any ways to cast it. Oh, he's got a New Horizons and a Ranging Raptors, which would allow him to actually cast it. So this deck looks reasonable, but green-white, I haven't had the most success drafting green-white decks. In general, it's really hard to kind of push through the final few points of damage, but he does have that Vraska. If he draws that often, maybe he gets him there, but...
You know what I'm
that
seeing
looks
here,
reasonable.
too, is a lot at 3 and not a whole lot at 2, and it kind of seemed like the people we're seeing with better records are pushing the curve down.
Yeah, you want to keep your curve low. He does have the Kinjali's Collar, which helps you block early. He's got a couple of 2s, but yeah, he does have a huge glut at the 3-mana slot. I'm sure he would have loved to have, you know, a couple of Ixalan's Keepers in the 2-mana.
Yeah, also those 3 Pterodon Knights, really you want those to be 3/3 flyers. Those aren't always going to be 3/3 flyers, and if he is slightly behind, that even if they become 3/3 flyers, potentially they're 3/3 blockers and not looking great as 3/3 blockers. So perhaps not a big surprise that in the end, Zachary West ends up 1-2 at that table. So to review, Yuki Matsumoto, the guy we highlighted in the preview, the guy we watched draft, 3-0, 2-0, 2-0, did lose 1 game in the 3rd round, but picking Lightkeeper over Contract Killing.
Yeah, that to me is, you know, when you look back and go through the draft viewer, which you can do, right? You can sit down and you can replay
Every pick.
You can see what you would have done in any of these 8 seats. You know, you could see if you could have the guts to pull the trigger on that and just not take a removal spell that kills anything in the format other than hexproof creatures.
All right, so there you go, from 1 to 8, from 1 to 4, we've gone round the table, now you can too.